Our adjudicators, Michael Lynch. Mike Lynch is the Director of Percussion Studies at Lassiter High School here in Georgia. And that is, the Lassiter Band is an extraordinary legend in the things that are there. I know that your association with them is undoubtedly something that has been a marvelous thing for your career. How long have you been there?
Yeah, I've been there since 1996.
Oh, so that's great.
Yeah, pretty long time.
Yeah, you bet. And what a wonderful program that is.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity of being part of a lot of great performances.
So you were there when Alfred was there, and
oh yeah,
yeah, and that's terrific. And Catherine Sinan, and
yeah,
such great people.
Yeah,
such great people.
Yeah, really great teachers have come through the program.
You bet. So you're going to be adjudicating percussion here.
Correct.
What kinds of things, Mike, are you going to be listening for? What are you watching for?
There's really three things that, for especially this time of year. And the first thing seems kind of simple, but a band director, when you're trying to put the show together and put drill on the field and get the arrangements, it seems to get overlooked a lot of times, and that's just tuning the drums. Yeah. As simple as that is, so often they come out and play and the drums just don't sound very good, and it's not because of the players or the written book, it's because of the instruments themselves. Right. A lot of times the snare drums are cranked way too high, and the tenors and basses are just simply way too low. And so it affects the sound of the band so much, just balance and blend. You're not going to get a good overall sound unless the percussion section is tuned also. Yeah. And,
so I'm sure that you've got that in that process, that because of that, your awareness of that, you hear that right away. That's right. Not something that you have to spend a lot of time analyzing. You go, holy cats, we got to fix this.
Right.
Yeah.
That's like I said, that's one of the first things I really listen to is what do the drums sound like.
Well, and I'm much older than you, so I recall the days when we didn't have multitonal drums. Okay, right. We're using Scotch drums as bass drums, and we had timp toms that you could just about tune to anything. Right. Tenor drums that were all one pitch, and snare drums that were quite loose.
Right.
And it really had very nondescript sounds.
Right. So when I started in high school, that's kind of where we were. Yeah. So things have changed quite a bit through my career.
Oh yeah. I mean, and it has really developed as an artistic section. That right. It's no longer something that people thought, well, it was just rhythm in the back, and you don't have to worry about it. With percussion, you either hit it or you don't.
Right.
And that it's much more tonal. It's much more involved with creating a fabric unto itself.
Yeah, like you said, it is very tonal with the different voices in the ensemble that you're dealing with, and so those drums really do need to be tuned and match each other. And a lot of times we tune for a performance. We got a really big performance coming up, so right. We don't touch the drums for a couple of weeks, and all of a sudden we tune for that one big performance. Well, that affects the students. The students aren't listening or aren't used to playing on that head that tight or that loose, right. Whatever you do, and they're not used to hearing those sounds. Yeah. And so they're probably not going to have a very good performance simply because they're not used to that instrument anymore.
Right.
And,
yeah. And it does sound different.
Right.
And the sticks are going to respond differently.
Right.
From a loose head to a tight head and doing that type of thing.
Yeah, and even the winds, listening to the battery ensemble especially. I mean, it sounds totally different at a big performance. So it affects everyone.
And hasn't that also had a tremendous effect on percussion in terms of what we've got with front ensembles now? Oh
yeah, it's definitely a whole other voice that you've got to consider, and then all the voices within the front ensemble, and of course the marimbas, xylophones, vibes, and then the accessory instruments, timpani, drum set. Right. So it's just kind of never ending.
It really is. It really is. It's a remarkable thing in the way that it has developed. Let's just shift gears here for just a minute, because I'd like to talk to you about something that you're personally very involved in. And that's something that involves Jupiter and the things that are going on there with a percussion event that Chris Hankus has been bragging about. So Mike, tell us about this.
Well, we started the Lassiter Percussion Ensemble Symposium about 5 years ago. And we started it because I felt like percussion ensembles really had no places to perform. you would play at your state convention, or if you were fortunate enough to get accepted to Midwest or the Percussive Arts Society convention, you could play there. But for the average ensemble, there was really no place to play except for your parents at home.
Right.
And so in talking, I realized there were a lot of percussion ensembles out and about. We just never knew it because we never played for each other.
Yeah.
And so we were very fortunate to get a brand new concert hall at Lassiter with a great load-in area, a great backstage area, gorgeous concert hall, gorgeous sound. And so I thought, well, now's the time to do it. We've got the hall, and so we should do this. And I talked to Chris about it, and he was totally on board, thought it was a great idea. And so we started it, like I said, 6 years ago, and we just ran on Saturday. Each group gets a 30-minute time slot. And now it's so big, we had 32 ensembles last year. We had to start on Friday.
32?
Yeah, 32 percussion ensembles, concert percussion ensembles.
Yeah.
And it's a non-competitive event. I just felt like we compete enough that I didn't want this to be competitive.
Right.
But you get a 30-minute time slot on the stage. You get evaluation. We've been very fortunate that we brought in some of the best college percussion ensemble teachers in the country.
Good.
Shi Wu, Tom Burrett, Brian Mason, just to name a few,
yeah.
Casey Cangelosi,
Sure.
Dr. John Parks, and the list goes
Sure.
on. And so it's really some of the best evaluators in the country. And so we bring those folks in, and each group gets a 20-minute clinic with one of the evaluators. They go to actually the band room area, so they get to sit down and have a 20-minute clinic with that evaluator. And not only is the evaluator talking to them, but there's also a whole other set of equipment in the band room.
Oh my gosh.
So if they want to hear a phrase or they want to talk about technique, they can do that again. It's not just the students sitting and listening. They can actually play.
Right.
So we're
That's
very
Chris Hankes' role, right?
right. I was going to
Yeah.
say, and another good thing about it is the ensembles don't have to bring any equipment. The only thing we
Not
ask,
at all.
not at all. We ask them to bring their own cymbals, sticks, and mallets, and that is it.
So things are coming from either the Lassiter inventory or Majestic and Mapex, and
Correct.
yeah.
And so that way we're able to move people quickly on and off stage without having to get a backlog at the loading dock, trying to get
My
people in and
gosh.
out. So we don't have to worry
What a
about that.
godsend that is.
Yeah.
Because that would have been a snag, wouldn't it?
It would have. That's why we're able to do 30 minutes time slots, and people get in and out, and it's pretty painless the way it's running now.
When do you hold this?
It's usually the last weekend in April.
Okay.
Second to last weekend. I can't remember the date right now off the top of my head, believe it or
Okay.
not. But this year it's the last weekend in April, and it's at Lassiter High School on the school campus there.
Yeah. And is it just local areas, or are they coming from all over?
Oh, no, they're coming from all over. We've had several groups from South Carolina come over. We've had a group from Florida. We've got another group from Florida coming in this year. So it's kind of all over the Southeast that groups are coming in.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, Mike, what a pleasure to talk with you and to hear about the great things that you're doing. And adjudicating here at the Fulton County Marching Band exhibition is a great opportunity for all of those students that you're going to hear today, and the information that they're going to get. They're very fortunate to have that.
Well, thank you. I mean, I feel fortunate to be asked to do it, and so I'm looking forward to hearing some great groups and getting to make some commentary.
Well, that's terrific. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in just a moment. After a quick word, I'm delighted that Mike came in and we had the opportunity to talk about what percussion is doing today, because that's so important in that how it's changed and how it will continue to change in the future. I'm Joe Herman. I'll be right back.